The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome everyone to Straight from the Paws. Today I have a new friend here with us that has been helping us out at Forever Paws. This is James, and he's from Social Animal. Train your animal. Is that what you said?
Yeah, social animal dog training. We say train your dog.
Train your dog.
Could train other animals, but we stick to dogs.
Stick with dogs. Okay, train your dog. And I want to have him explain a little bit about what his background is, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you're doing at the shelter for us.
Yeah, so I came, Gail, to this later in life. I decided in 2016 or 2015 really that I wanted to take this up as a profession, working with dogs and training them, because I wanted to do my passion. So I went and sought out a trainer down in Hampton Roads, Virginia, Dwayne Nolan, Uhuru Canine, and stepped up to him and said, "Hey, I'd like to learn. Would you teach me?" He said, "Absolutely. Go clean those kennels." So I did the grunt work there, and I got the knowledge, and I did that for about a year, and then I was taken on staff at Blue Sky Farms in Chesapeake, Virginia. And then when my wife and I moved back home to the South Coast, I just kept up and went into business for myself, and now I do it all the time. It's great. And
it's great. And you go to people's homes?
Yeah, I provide an in-home service. I do any kind of dog training, just simple obedience training. Kind of like basic husbandry, house manners, up to very kind of advanced obedience training, and probably most of my business is dealing with behavior problems in dogs. So we see a lot of various levels of aggression, anxiety, just bad behaviors generally. That's usually the thing that make people call me, because other than that, your dog is awesome to live with. And then, they're scaring your neighbors away from the fence, and it becomes something you want to take care of, yeah.
Well, that is interesting. And do you have a number that people can be contacted?
Yeah, so I can be reached at 508-251-9369.
Okay, so that's the number, folks. If you have a dog that has some issues that you want to take care of, this is the man to talk to, because I will say that James has been coming and volunteering his services at Forever Paws, and you've been tell people what you do at the shelter. Obviously the same thing, but
yeah. Well, this it definitely has to do with dogs. At the shelter, it's a little less intense for each individual dog because resources are limited, so we do what we can. I help the staff evaluate the dogs sometimes when they come in. If there's a question, we deal with small behavior problems as we can, and I try to offer my best advice and guidance to the staff there to just teach them the best practices, how to deal with a thing, very importantly, what to avoid if at all possible. And again, in a shelter environment, it's challenging, but it's no less fun, especially when everything works out for the best.
Yeah, and they've told me that you've been a great asset to us, and I really do appreciate that. I want to give a big kudos, thank you to you for that, because it is very helpful to the staff, because as you know, we have a minimal amount of staff, and their time is busy taking care of the animals, like you said, doing the grunt work, cleaning everything up, and then they have to evaluate, and they do all the medicals and all that, and it takes a lot of time and effort. But when they have a professional like yourself come in and say, this is what you need to do with this dog, that eliminates all the trial and error they have to go through, and it's extremely helpful, and I greatly appreciate that so much.
I think oftentimes what I find is that there's just a little bit of a question mark sometimes. And as far as the staff there does a great job. They keep a wonderful kennel, clean environment. The dogs are all safe and well taken care of. But the dogs do need engagement. And my first experience working with shelters was down in Virginia, the Portsmouth Humane Society, and my volunteer work there was simply to go in and give the dogs some time, some enrichment. So that's super important when you can get it in.
And what I had a volunteer program going on too, and some people don't understand why we don't allow them to walk the dogs. They don't understand, because they just think that they can just go on. We have a walking path, as you well know. We have the agility area, playground, I guess you call it, out there, and they think it's okay that they can just take the dog and get on a leash and go. And as you know, we use martingale collars there. They don't even know what that is. They don't know how to put one on the dog, and they think, well, you know, why can't I just go out? This is a cute little dog. It doesn't matter if the dog's little or the dog's bigger. Sometimes the little ones are the most vicious. You know,
yeah,
and it's difficult, and the volunteers don't see that. So when we have someone like yourself that comes in and is training the staff, and then they can go in turn and train a volunteer that's been there a while, we just don't allow anyone to walk these animals anymore.
It's a huge thing, because I think I want to say most of my business and most of the calls I get are from people who are just having a problem communicating with the dog. Now, any kind of collar you're going to use, a martingale collar, training collar, even a harness, or even just a simple leash like a slip lead or something like that, the dog wasn't born with it on their body. So there's a communication there that needs to happen. There's a language that is communicated through that leash. And it's important for people to have a basic understanding of what the dog's getting. Otherwise, the tendency will be to constantly pull, to get upset when when the dog feels pressure and so forth. And especially if the dog has a history of having a lot of practice lashing out at human beings and kind of getting the relief they want from a situation, it can escalate pretty quickly. So as much knowledge as anybody who's interested in working with dogs should do the dog the favor of learning a bit about the dog's language, right?
Yeah, I know we were trying to put something together where you were coming in and maybe helping out some of the new owners. I don't know if we're still in the planning stage with that, but that's something that you've also offered as a service to and help us out and, you know, get some business for yourself as well, which would be awesome. Now, let me just ask you a question. Let's just say a dog, I'll use I have a little Chihuahua Papillon mix, and she's getting older, and she's been taught the basic training, she has been trained, but, when certain people walk in the house, some people she just does not take to. She'll bark. Now, we have meetings at our home all the time, so I can have 18 people come in the house, come in through the door all the time, and then that she'll know someone that she doesn't know, and she may not like that person. So something like that, how long does it take a dog to sort of retrain them? Personally, I think she's pretty good with it, deciding on who she wants in the house.
Yeah, so, all right, so first thing I would say is that you don't have to like everybody you meet. Right. I know I don't.
Me either.
So that's only fair. Dog's got a right to not like somebody. And the question is, how do you act when you don't like somebody, right? So again, it goes back to how much rehearsal the dog has had with the behavior. I keep Rottweilers in my house, my wife and I don't keep them for any reason. So sometimes, or for no reason, I should say. Sometimes they'll bark at people. Sure. It's what dogs do. The question is, what will they do after they bark and alert and say, oh, I'm uncomfortable with this. And then the question is, what do you do then? So, regarding a stranger in your house, the question I would have is, how strong is your dog's obedience? If she's super obedient, but you haven't really drilled her in a long time, you might want to go back and start building those skills in the absence of a stranger, right? To kind of get those back sharp. And then you've got to kind of take her through that greeting and guide her through and show her what you want her to do. This, not that. And that requires you to, again, have kind of some strong alternative behaviors, simple as go to your bed, sit, go to your crate, something just basic, right? And then working your dog through that situation so that she can kind of get used to that scene. Someone I know doesn't like come in here, I should go do this other activity instead. And how long it would take depends on how strong your dog's obedience are, and how long the behavior's been going on, and how good you are at recognizing the moment when the anxiety shows up in your dog, or the aggression, when they notice that new thing coming into the environment. Oftentimes what I'll see is dogs that are sitting there for a good 30 seconds just trying their best to deal with the situation, and the owner, the handler, in any case, is often just kind of a little oblivious. We're busy doing other things. Right. So if I know my dog's going to be potentially reactive to that, I'm going to be greeting people like, "Hey, hello, how's it going? Welcome to my home. That's great." And my eyes are going to be on my dog the whole time, so I can effectively communicate in the moment.
That's what I was looking for. Communication has to be from I think the human first. I think the human has to know what the dog needs. You know, we have to know our animals, and I think a lot of times we get the animals back at the shelter because they say, oh, I tried and that didn't work, or I tried, like I know people that have had several different trainers. They don't want to follow through with the trainers telling them to do, and then all of a sudden the dog turns around and maybe nips somebody, you know, and because they were fearful, and the animal now has a bite history, and what happens, you know? We at Forever Paws, I've got to say, Ariana looks into the whole history of everything and tries to make a decision. And thankfully, we have someone like you. We have another trainer that comes in on Sundays as well, and they help us to evaluate. Well, yeah, okay, so let's take a better look at this. I know with my dog, I know where she's at, and it's funny because sometimes I agree with her, you know, who's coming into the house, and you know, wasn't someone that I personally invited in, and so I'm comfortable with where she's at, and I just say, okay, quiet, and then she comes to me, and then I pick her up, and we're good, and she's okay. But there are other dogs that are bigger dogs that have difficulties with that, and you know, I hear what you're saying, and I think that's very important. One of the things I'd like to just touch base with, because I know that there's a lot going on with this, we hear anxiety in our animals, people using CBD oils and so on and so forth. They're trying to help the animals. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm not a veterinarian,
okay.
So if your veterinarian tells you that you should try something for your dog, absolutely try it. They're medical professionals, they know what they're doing. From my perspective, as someone who deals with the dog's behavior, I've got to say a couple of things. First would be that any tool, just like any trainer, and there are a lot of good trainers in this area, a really good crew of trainers that are operating in our area. Any one of them can show you ways to deal with your dog's behavior, make it better. But it's not like downloading an app on your phone. You don't just hit update and you get the new information and the dog works perfectly and seamlessly. You got to put the work in, because your dog's a sentient being. They have their own desires, if you want to call them that, right? Mm-hmm. They have their own fears, if you want to call them that. Those are very human words, but that's what we see present in the dog. Then if you find yourself with a problem, like an anxious dog, a dog that's going to, you know, some sort of either defensive or even offensive aggression behind it, and you think you're going to solve that problem with a medication, you might be able to dull it with a medication. If you think you're going to solve that problem with a tool, that tool might be helpful in helping you guide your dog through that situation, but it's not. You know, we see a lot of, you know, like traditional training collars. We see a lot of e-collars now. People showing up with an e-collar, but the e-collar is not a bigger stick. It's not just, you know, this key to the whole thing. The key is communication. The key is learning as much as you can about your dog's behavior. You are engaged in animal husbandry if you keep a dog in a house, and it's our responsibility as the higher being. I don't know that, you know, we're capable of more complex thought and so forth. I mean, that's why, you know, we walk dogs and they don't walk us, hopefully. But, you know, it's our job. We have a responsibility to keep that animal and to learn a bit about it. We got to learn what's good for them to eat, what's good for them to not eat, and similarly, we got to learn what are the causes of their socially unacceptable behaviors.
Thank you. I totally agree with you on that, and I appreciate that. And unfortunately, we ran out of time, so we're going to have you another time. But I really thank you for all you do for the shelter and what you do for our dogs and the dogs in the neighborhood.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on, and yeah, let's do it again.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Sounds great.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Straight from the Paws. Today I am Beverly. I'm here again doing another little episode of our show, and I have a guest here today, Christine Houghton, correct?
Yes.
I did it right?
Yes.
And she is chair of the veterinary healthcare program at none other than BCC, where we are right now, and she has some guests along with her. We've been working with Christine for a number of years in this vet program that we've been trying to kick off for the last couple of years. So I am going to turn this over to Christine to talk about what's going on.
Well, thank you, Beverly. It's so great to keep working with you. You and Gail not only have done so much for the community with Forever Paws, but also were the first representatives of the community to come forward when Bristol was looking for people who were interested in seeing any form of veterinary or animal-associated program here at the college.
Wow, and that was a while ago.
That was 2012, believe it or not.
God.
So it's been
I was
over
a
a
youngster then.
decade. So was I.
We were young.
Yeah. It's been over a decade that we've been working together, and thankfully you also as well have been serving on Bristol Community College's veterinary healthcare advisory board to help mold the program and make great suggestions for moving it forward, more things like this where we get to promote and interact with some of our community partners. And so we're very grateful for that opportunity that you have given us. But also Forever Paws has opened its doors to us on a number of occasions. Our faculty, staff, and students all get to go down to Forever Paws to hone their skills, learn more, and practice in a real-world setting of a shelter for learning all the skills they need to be successful paraprofessionals, whether it's in humane rescue, veterinary offices, large animal, etc. So some of the boots to the ground work is done right there at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
So what's going on in the school right now? You brought 2 students.
Yes, I have Aiden and Denise with me, and they are both first-year students in the veterinary healthcare program, and they came to share some of their experiences that they have had at Forever Paws and how it has impacted either their education or their career path. Aiden?
All right, so when we first went to Forever Paws, I was in the Intro to Animal Science class. One of the tasks that I remember we were given was to work on the foot baths, which sounds like a weird job, but it's actually very important because to prevent contamination in each room, a foot bath is pretty much just like a little stepping area for your boots to clean off any contamination to make sure that none of the animals get sick or contaminate with anything, just to make sure that their animals are healthy and safe and cared for. So
That was your first job?
that was the first. I think that was my first trip, like going on
Wow.
the fields. Yeah, in
Pretty
this
soon
program.
you'll be operating on
Yeah.
animals.
Me? So I actually went for the first time to Forever Paws about like 2 weeks ago. I went with my animal handling and restraint class, and we were working on the cat restraint. So we went specifically, to learn how to restrain cats properly. It was a great experience. I learned how to be able to properly restrain and handle them without causing them any stress, and for it to not be stressful for us as well. I have a cat at home too, so I had a little bit of background knowing it, but it was really cool to fully learn how to properly restrain aside from just holding my cat at home.
And weren't you telling me something that there was something unique about one of the animals you got to work with?
A really cool thing that I learned was we met a disabled cat that was there. He has a tilted head. He walks around with a little tilted head. And it was really cool because you at first you see him and you just see the little head just tilted and you're like, aw, and you just see him living his active life, and it was really cool to learn how to properly restrain them without causing any more stress. It's already kind of hard for them to already have a disability, so you want to make it less stressful for them.
So that sounds like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We did have one of our volunteer coordinator here and our foster coordinator here, and she said those animals all got adopted.
Really?
Yes, they
That's
all got
awesome to
adopted.
hear.
All of the little ones that had those disabilities. I think it was a whole litter. Do you remember?
I know that there was there was 2 brothers. There was the one with the head tilt, and then I want to say the other one, he had a messed up paw. His paw was bent in, so he kind of limped every single time he walked. I know those 2 were there, but I didn't know that they got adopted. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I believe that the foster coordinator was here another day, and she said that they got adopted. And I'm hoping that's true. I mean, I don't know, because I don't actually get to see all the animals all the time. My job is basically from home for the shelter. but that would be amazing. I know there's another disabled cat in foster care right now. It has a neurological system, so the back end of the cat is wobbly. It can't stand up, it just falls down. So we're hoping to get that one gets adopted too. So we met a couple of different things there.
Yeah, it was.
So only one time at the shelter, and Aiden, one time at the shelter?
Yeah, one
but
time, in
Christine, how
class
many
at
times
least.
have you been to the shelter?
Oh, I have been to the shelter a number of times over the years, and it's actually one of the hazards of my job because I think that they take some of the hard luck cases and they put them in the hallway when I'm coming. Just
So you see them.
So that way I see them, and that's how they end up coming home with me. I have taken small animals home from you. I have adopted Flop the ferret, who didn't even know he was supposed to be a carnivore and eat meat. He was an interesting one. I have adopted rats
know
from
that.
you. Yes.
Oh, wow, that's where all those animals went.
Yes.
They went to Christine. No, I didn't know that. Amazing.
I also have, now she's a nice golden age senior Chihuahua that came from one of the hoarding cases.
Oh my God, we do get those too.
Yeah.
So have the students seen any hoarding cases yet?
No, they have not in the first years.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I forget.
Some
I've
of the
been doing it
second
so long, I
years may
forget.
have, but the first years have not.
I wanted to also add before we run out of time, with your program, where else do you go besides Forever Paws?
Oh, we travel to a lot of different facilities. Depends on the class and the time of year which classes we're running. But normally we go to a couple of different farms. We are now working with West Place Animal Sanctuary.
I love them.
They are great.
Yes.
We work with Stony Creek Farm in Swansea. We also
Cape Run.
routinely work with the local zoos, Capron Park Zoo, because Aiden got to do enrichment out there. We also work with the Buttonwood Park Zoo. And then we have another number of other community supporters who take on our interns, which you also have taken interns
Yes,
in the
we
past
have.
years.
And
from
we
us.
know a lot of the vet hospitals take your interns too.
Yes.
So this is a 2-year program.
Yes.
And I do know that some of your graduates have gone into the 4-year program and then even more beyond, correct? Because we did a Zoom meeting, and we had people that were in Texas.
Yes. So one of my alumni, he not only graduated this program, and then he went on to University of Vermont and completed his bachelor's, but then with his additional experience, he is now a practice manager out in Texas.
For a veterinary hospital
Yes.
company, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So in this program, there's a lot of opportunity for the young adults in our area to go places.
Yes, this is a stepping stone program. This is not a direct pathway to that one career that's going to find financial stability. It's really about finding your passion, getting the grounding foundations, learning how to be a professional in this field, and that will take you everywhere.
Can you name some of the fields that they can go into?
Okay, humane rescue,
Right.
law enforcement in terms of animal control officer, of course being non-certified veterinary assistants, veterinary technicians that are non-credentialed. Moving on, you can go into large and small animal work in exotics and wildlife. Rehab, again, you need to advance as you go into these positions as well. You can go into animal education as an animal ambassador in some of the zoos. So there's a lot of different avenues that they can pursue based on their animal interests.
Has anybody gone aquatics, like to the aquariums?
I actually had one student
Like in
intern.
Mystic?
It wasn't Mystic, it was Boston Aquarium.
Boston Aquarium,
was
yes.
her internship many years ago. I have had several now, I think 3 out at National Marine Life Center,
Oh, wow,
which
that's
is amazing.
amazing.
They've got to help with seal releases and seal bottle feeding and everything else.
So there's a lot that they can do just from your program.
Yes, the internships are a stepping stone, and once you get through those, then you can see what experiences are available to you and opportunities, because they are sought after and competitive. Our students do tend to go places and find where they belong.
So this is a great program. Where do you think you're going to go, Aiden?
It's very hard because when I first came into this program, I was like, I want to be a vet. I know exactly what I'm going to be. And then there's, like Christine said, there's so many other opportunities out there of like different branches you can go. So I'm still kind of contemplating what branch I want to go into, whether I want to go through the medical side or animal behavior side. There's just like so many different ways to go. So.
Do you touch grooming?
Only grooming for healthcare.
Only grooming for healthcare.
I cannot cut in a straight line. So people do not want me to train on how to groom and do pretty little cuts for all of their pets. It would be a nightmare.
It would be. What's Denise's plan?
I had at first thought about being a veterinary technician, but the more I learn, the more I'm interested in going into animal rescue.
Wow. Have you met the animal control officers yet?
So I actually did volunteer work with the New Bedford Animal Control, and they took me, they showed me the ropes and everything. They showed me a few cases, and it just made me fall in love even more.
Have you met Emmanuel Mace?
Yes.
So he's been on this show several times. He's worked with Christine several times. He is so much knowledge in that man's head. We're all amazed. When you talk to Manny, he could be on the show for 2 hours. And we won't talk. He will just talk and talk and talk. So he's an amazing resource. I remember the very first show we did with you. Not the show, the first meeting we did with you when we were doing brainstorming. We talked about animal control and the offshoots of animal control, working with the ASPCA and the MSPCA and law enforcement. That's like an amazing field to be in. So Christine has done an amazing job at BCC, and I don't want to run out of time, but can you wrap it up for us, Christine? What else can we do here with these people? What do you do with your own animals?
Well, mine are just companions. It's almost like the carpenter's house is never quite finished. So as a nutritionist, I do keep them in shape and a good body condition score, but when it comes to behavior and all, mine are spoiled brats just like everybody
definitely.
else.
Ours are all spoiled brats
But we do have students who actively engage in entrepreneurship as well. We have a student who opened her own doggy daycare, which is
that's
great.
what I was looking for, yes.
Yeah, we have
It's another offshoot of your program.
other ones who are pet sitters now. So that provides them a little bit of financial and time-based freedom, so that way they can meet their own goals. There are just so many possibilities.
How would people get involved in this program?
Well, they can apply directly to the veterinary health care program when they put in their application here at Bristol Community College, or you can email me directly, and I am found on the website. When you look at the program, it'll tell you the department chair, and you can contact me. My email's up there.
Wow, thank you guys so much for coming today.
Thank you so much.
Even again, I just learned so much about you. Thank you, Aiden, thank you, Denise, and thank you, Christine, for coming again.
Thank you, Bev.